Good evening, salutations, my GH fans. To be honest, I actually enjoyed this episode. GH actually found a way to impress me in a couple of these stories today. And for the first time in a very long time that I can remember, Anna actually impressed me today. I was surprised by that one. And I want to start off favorite subject of the week. Well, guess what that is. Oh yeah, it's Joss time. Joss is not there, having her little pity party, crying and upset, shedding those little tears. You know what? I know this is going to sound kind of sadistic, but I enjoyed it because this was a mess of her own making. Okay? She caused all this to happen. All she had to sit there and do was be a decent human being. She couldn't even be bothered to do that. So watching her sit down in her little tears, not only did I not feel any sort of sympathy or pity whatsoever, but I enjoyed it. And I know that sounds wrong, but that's just as wrong as she sounded when she sat there and said, I don't owe you anything. To the guy who was actually with her for a very long time, who was by her side through thick and thin when Oscar died and all the other stuff that was going on with her family. And had the audacity to sit there and say that, but begged him afterwards to do her a solid. So Carly comes over and, she finds out what happened with Joss and everything. And I'm going to be honest, I was kind of impressed by this scene because she didn't sit there and made a bunch of excuses for her. She didn't sit there and say, oh no, it's going to be okay, and this, that, and the third. And I was actually caught off guard because I saw the previews for it, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so she's just going to sit there and co-sign every single thing that she did. And just be like, it's okay, it's fine, and yada, yada, yada. And she didn't do that. So I was actually kind of impressed by that scene. But Carly did sit there and say, with this whole Dex thing, she saw mirror images of her with Jason. And she told her straight up, listen, you go down that path, given Carly's own experience, it's going to be a very long and difficult journey. And she said, as her mother, she doesn't want that for her. She didn't rip her to shreds for the choices that she made. So I was impressed by that. But then I sat there and I was like, here's the thing in life. Sometimes with people, people that you look up to or people that are supposed to be guidance for you. How should I sit there and say this? If you can't be a good role model, be a horrible example of what not to be like. And that's the thing about Carly. Carly has done her history of dirt. And in reality, it's just one of those things where it's like, Carly has a lot of good qualities. Okay? No one's perfect, right? Carly has a lot of good qualities, but she also has some really terrible examples of what you shouldn't be like. And unfortunately, when they sit there and say like mother like daughter, and how it's they're saying they're practically two peas in a pod. This is one of those things where it's like, unfortunately, Carly is her role model. And this whole thing with Cam and where everything went down and picking somebody like Dex is one of those things where it's like, this is exactly who you shouldn't be like, is Carly. But that's her role model. And unfortunately, she's going to wind up making the exact same mistakes, terrible decisions, and so forth that her mother's made. Now, I'm not going to sit there and do too much of a deep dive into it, but you kind of get where I'm going with this. Now, after Laura saw Trina and Spencer, and Laura's like, listen, Cam's going to need you. They go in there, they see Cam, and they sit there and they have a little talk, and Spencer's like, yeah, Josh pretty much kind of, did Cam dirty. And Trina, is just like, why am I just finding out about this? And I'm like, well, you kind of need to sit there and talk to your bestie about this because she also kept you in the dark. So Trina, not knowing everything, is kind of in the dark, and so she starts defending Josh, like, hey, it couldn't be that bad. Maybe I could work through it, yada yada yada. And Cam is like, listen, he wants no parts of this. He's like, he's kind of rude to Trina and just walks off. Meanwhile, they're talking about how maybe they shouldn't be together anymore since Esme's found. But Trina's like, yo, listen, there's still somebody out there, hooking people or whatever. So for right now, we need to sit there and stick to the script. I mean, come on now. This is going to be a long little bit of a journey. And eventually they're going to be together because that's what the fans want. So they kind of got some ways to go about it. But they're sticking to the script. Yada, yada, yada. Blah, 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 blah. But in the end, I'm pretty sure they're going to find a way to make the Sabrina fans happy. Um, Meanwhile, Renee, after them both seeing Lucy, first of all, they're trying to break through the bars, and I'm sitting there like, how y'all just going to just break through like sheer steel? Like, unless y'all Kryptonians, I don't see that happening. Somehow, I guess this thing must have been really old, and they somehow managed to like, free, pull the bars like off the hinges or whatever. And they would sit there and see Lucy, and they remove her gag and stuff like that. Then Renee's like, "Hey, I got a gun." So I was like, "Cool, we got 3 hostages." And at some point, they talk to Victor, and Victor's like, "Yeah, don't worry, son. You're gonna be back into the family fold." But you kind of you're kind of being led astray by Anna. So we just gonna kill her now at this point. So, Valentine gets all upset and stuff like that. And, it seemed like they're about to sit there and kill, Anna. So they're all standing there talking for a little bit. And this is where Anna actually impressed me. So, which I didn't realize, maybe I just had like a really bad copy. But Anna was like, yeah, I've been on to you since jump, especially at the hotel when I guess she switched her appearance, her attire, or whatever. She was like, I knew you were up to something. So there was a point where it seemed like Anna was actually lost in the catacombs. Turned out that she was sent there planning C4, and I guess, while her hands was tied, she triggered the explosives. So the room was going to be flooded with water and stuff, and, they would sit there and get the jump. They would sit there and get the jump on, the henchmen and stuff like that, and they had, like, breathing masks and stuff for them and Lucy. So at this point, they would all get out. There's dead bodies everywhere. And, Lucy's like, no, before we go, I got to sit there and talk to Marty. And Valentine's like, no, we can't do that because at this point, Victor thinks that we're dead. We got to sit there and remain that way. So I was like, wow. I was genuinely impressed by Anna. Today has actually been full of surprises. And I don't just mean the show. But I'll talk about that more during the live stream. tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I gotta sit there and say that because even though most people do know, there's some new people that do join the channel and yada yada yada. So I kind of got to be like an infomercial at this point. But yeah, that was kind of surprising. So after Drew was there spending time with Wiley, thinking about Carly, Olivia came by, and they started chopping it up about Carly and her decisions because Drew was like, yeah, Carly knew about Willow's birth the whole time. So he's angry, he's upset about this. And at first, it seemed like Olivia was giving Carly excuses. Oh, I'm pretty sure she was doing it for the right reason, and blah, 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 blah. So at first, I started looking at my phone like, yep, okay, I guess we're going down that road. But she did say something that did hit home. Drew chose her. For good, for bad, for all of it. And it's sort of the same thing with Brooklyn and Chase. Chase is upset with Brooklyn. But here's the thing though. You knew exactly who Brooklyn was when you got together. Same thing with Drew. You knew exactly the person that you were getting in bed with. And I mean that, in every sense of the way, when you chose to be with her. She's a liar. She's a manipulator. She has good qualities. She fights for her family. She's strong and all the other stuff. Like, at the end of the day, you gotta sit there and take the good with the bad. You gotta sit there and decide if this is who you want to be with. Now, yeah, it sucked that she did lie to Drew. And yeah, he has a right to sit and be angry with her. But, at the end of the day, you knew that before you went into the situation. You know? And, Carly did, in some ways, have a point when she was like, so is that it? You're just going to sit there and drop me after, like, one mistake. Now, granted, what she did wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Okay? And she knew the consequences of her actions when she chose to lie, when she chose to purposely sabotage Drew at every turn when it came to her trying to find Willow's birth mom. So to sit there and say it was a lie, to sit there and say it was a mistake kind of irked me. I do hate when people say, oh, well, I made a mistake. No, you made a choice. Especially when people sit there and cheat. You made a choice. But at the end of the day, you chose that. So when Carly came back to see Drew, it was like, Drew, what are you gonna do? You gonna be with Carly, or are you not? Like, you chose her for a reason, so that's who you chose, good and bad. It is what it is at this point. When Josh was there telling Carly that she lost Cam forever, and she really did him wrong, and really screwed up their friendship. It's like, yeah, you did, and it's one of those things where it's like you're only just thinking about this now. Like I just I don't know. I've been talking about this for like the past 2 days, and I don't know what else to sit there and say. Anything more I can sit there and add to what Josh did. The cheating was a choice. And I get it. No one's perfect. Josh is not the worst person in the world. She didn't commit genocide or anything like that. But what she did was do him dirty. And then she sat there and was very cold hearted to him. Only up to a point where she wanted to ask him for a favor. So that's the reason why I'm sitting there roasting her as much as I am. And at the end of the day, I always sit there and say this in the live stream. And I'll sit there and say this here. As far as I'm concerned, no one is spared the rod. No one. Not my favors, not no character. Oh, also, because I knew I was going to sit there and forget something. Laura was there talking to Marty. And Marty was there talking about, maybe working with Cyrus to bring down Victor. Laura's like, no, that's a bad idea at this point. And Marty at this point, he's like, I'm not gonna do it, but he's desperate at this point. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, why not? I mean, yeah, he's gonna want something, but if it ensures Lucy's, rescue and stuff like that, I'm like, bro, I mean, there's not really much you can do. And he's even sitting there talking about he's tired of sitting there leaving, the rescue plans and everything like that up until other people. And, he talked about how he was representing Esme and Laura had a problem with that. But I'm like, first of all, he told us, like, yo, this was Nicholas' choice. Nicholas was the one that really appointed me to do it. And then was going to sit there and give me tons of money. So, I mean, what do you want me to sit there and do? And I sat there and I was like, Laura, over the years, you've made questionable decisions and choices that you knew you shouldn't have made. So why are you sitting there judging Martin so hard? You know? Also, Charlotte was not happy with Victor. When she saw Victor, and Victor was all like, oh, I want to sit there and be a part of the family, I haven't came to see you. And, Charlotte was like, you kept me away from from my dad. I'm like, yo, listen, Victor, she's not 8 or whenever the last time we saw her, okay? She's a lot smarter. She knows that you're not exactly a good person and you're kind of the reason, why she couldn't see her dad as long as, she did was because of him. So I'm glad she was actually smart enough to realize that. And of course, Laura came in and Laura's like, yo, listen, you need to sit there and go back to, go to the powder room or something like that. And, Laura's like, yo, listen, as far as you and her is concerned, like, that's done. But of course, Victor made that veiled threat, like, no, because she's gonna want to sit there and be on board and make the veiled threat as far as, oh well, it's the only way she's gonna be able to sit there and see Valentine again. Yeah, I think that's about it for the most part. Wiley was there for a little bit. He's getting more speaking roles. He's actually in the title, which I was impressed by that. So that's cool. But I think that's actually about it. This week so far has been the last couple of days have been very difficult because I wasn't able to sit there and watch General Hospital on my usual site, and YouTube has been really messing up because it was like, all right, cool, I can't rely on my site or whatever. I can sit there and watch it on YouTube. But like after 26, 27 something minutes, it just cuts off. So you don't even sit there and get the full episode. So it's like, oh man, that sucks. And then it started throwing off my live stream schedule because I would do live streams at 8 p.m. And now it's like, all right, so now I got to sit there and do it for an hour and then watch a soap opera, watch it in a hospital and then put it out super late or watch only half of it and then talk about it during the live stream, then watch the rest of it and then talk about it then. And it's just like, so I'm actually glad that I got a cable box. As much as I didn't want one. Anyway, um, everything did work out, so I'm actually happy about that. Yeah, today was actually full of surprises. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for your patience because putting it out super late, I didn't like doing it, but I love the show and I love doing reviews. So I was gonna put it out of the way, but I want to thank everyone for just watching it. Even if you didn't watch it at night, you watch it the next day. It means the world. Everyone's support. I cannot tell you how grateful I am. But anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.